as Realtor Del, your favorite realtor and investment property strategist. Welcome to the monthly housing market report where we review home prices and appreciation, mortgage interest rates, housing affordability, and current real estate trends. We also take a look at the economy, job market, rate of inflation, and whatever else may be going on globally or politically that may affect the way we sell and buy real property. With just about 30 days left in the remainder of this year, this month's report, we're taking a look at home prices and mortgage rates, where they are right now, how they're trending right now, in comparison to how they've trended in the previous months. Let's begin. Let's start with home prices. As consumers, when we think about making a purchase, especially that of a significant nature, one of the first things that come to mind, or the thing that is top of mind, is the cost. What does that item cost? That said, let's take a look at the average home price in Metro Atlanta year to date. And these are for both single family, detached, and attached homes. Starting from the left, you'll note that each month is identified. So in this instance, January through October, and this is the latest data that we currently have on average home prices. And you will see that, so the detached homes are referenced by the top number, and you can note what those are for yourselves. But one thing I wanted to point out, or would like to point out, in regard to average home prices in Metro Atlanta, for single family detached, the average home price increased month over month by $20,359. As for attached homes, which includes condos and townhomes, the average price increase month over month was $9,542. We just reviewed home prices. Let's take a look at housing inventory and how it affects the price you pay for a home. This chart measures inventory levels from January 2017 through September 2024. You will note that from the left side of the screen in comparison to the right, that inventory levels were significantly different. In January of 2020, we basically had the same amount of housing inventory that we currently have. Now, of course, at that time, we were already at a deficit in regard to the amount of homes for sale. And during that period, there was mass migration due to the health crisis. Home sales increased not just because people were using their homes differently and working remotely, but mortgage interest rates were about 60% lower than they are currently. So we saw an uptick in home sales in 2021 and 2022. That said, inventory levels are just now beginning to normalize. Here's a look at new home construction inventory over the years. So 1970s, 80s, 90s, and the 2000s up to 2020. Now the red bars show inventory levels for the last 15 plus years, and we're comparing those years to the previous decades. As mentioned, this chart dates back to 1970. If you start to the left of your screen, notice that inventory levels between 2010 and 2020 were significantly lower. However, once mass migration occurred inventory was further depleted and resulted in home buyer demand greatly outweighing housing supply. You may ask, why are we highlighting housing inventory when this portion is about home prices and appreciation? Inventory levels and home buyer demand greatly determines home prices, and buyer demand has outweighed the amount of homes for sale for the past 3 years. For this reason is why we've seen home prices elevate and even remain stable despite higher than expected mortgage interest rates. If you have a home or investment property and you're curious of its value, go ahead and scan the QR code for an instant price valuation. It's not a guesstimate, it's based on a combination of things. It's based on a combination of actual home sales within a certain radius of the property. And a cool thing about this tool or feature is it allows you to customize your property's value by keying in certain, like whatever updates you may have made or certain features your property may have that you feel may add value. So go ahead and check that out. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know what you think. Mortgage interest rates are reflective of a number of things, including performance of the labor or job market, the economy, and of course, rate of inflation. Here's a look at the most recent jobs report. We can see where the job growth is and where the weaknesses are in various industries. In regard to inflation, the Feds are hoping for a more stable inflation rate, which will result in price stability. This is the most recent price index percentage rate, which is currently at 2.7%. The Fed's goal is 2%. We are pretty close. As the rate of inflation lowers and we get closer to the Fed's goal of 2%, interest rates will naturally follow, along, of course, with an increase in home buyer activity. This will impact home prices, and not in the way that you may think. Remember, I mentioned a few minutes ago that housing inventory levels in comparison to home buyer demand equals or determines home prices. With increased home buyer activity, if inventory levels fall short, then home prices will elevate. So if you're on the sidelines waiting for the proverbial perfect storm, thinking that home prices will fall along with mortgage interest rates, that may not necessarily be the case. In fact, contrary to popular belief, right now may be the perfect opportunity for you to buy the home if you're in the market to do so. And this is because during the fall and winter months, there is a natural slowdown in home sales. So, in real estate or in home sales, during the winter, there is a slowdown in home buyer activity, which means that if you are actively looking to purchase a home during this time, there is less competition, which of course may result in sellers offering more concessions to home buyers. Here's a look at interest rates year to date for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Now, although rates are slated to go down in 2025, keep in mind that if inflation ticks up, rates follow. This chart starts at the bottom right, then goes up, and the same is true with the second and third columns, of this slide and the following slide as well. And again, as you review these rates each week, year to date, you will notice the change and fluctuations. And as mentioned, this is a direct correlation or a direct result of the rate of inflation. And that is why, leading up to the presidential election, interest rates went up instead of down as they have done in past years. Let's recap. We've reviewed home prices January through October. We noted that prices went up by an average of $20,359 for single family attached and $9,542 for attached homes month over month. This year, we saw mortgage interest rates toggle between 6 and 7%. In January, it started at 6.62%, fluctuated around that number until mid-February, then jumped to 6.94% by the end of February. Once we settled into March, rates dropped a bit in time for the spring selling season and remained around that number. It remained pretty much stable until April. However, by April 18th, rates climbed to 7.1% and increased to 7.22% by May 2nd. By the end of May, rates dropped for 3 consecutive weeks. Then rose again, dropped throughout the summer months. By August 22nd, we were at 6.35 for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. Rates continued to drop through September, leading up to the presidential election. Rates were expected to continue on that downward spiral. However, October 3rd through the 31st, so just before election, things took a turn and rates actually increased. In fact, they trended up week over week and then by the end of October, rates were at 6.79. They were actually at 6.72 by the end of October. I even can't keep track of all of the fluctuations that happened with rates this year, and were at 6.79 just on the heels of the election on November 7th. Since that time, rates continue to inch up and are currently at 6.81% for a 30-year fixed rate. This just highlights what I previously mentioned in terms of rates are determined by a combination of the job market, what's going on with the economy, the inflation rate, what's going on with the housing supply in terms of inventory versus buyer demand, what's going on globally, geopolitical activity, etc. That said, there's no predicting where rates may land, or home prices for that matter. All we can do is follow historical data and use those as a guide as to what we think may happen. However, it greatly boils down to what's going on in real time, because whatever is happening in real time will have a domino effect on everything else. But moving right along, the average home price for single family detached in Metro Atlanta is $540,473, and for attached homes $422,661. If you put your home on the market today, it will take an average of 38 days to sell for a single family detached, and an average of 47 days to sell if you are selling a condo or townhome. Of course, standard disclaimer applies. That's considering if the property is priced appropriately in regard to its condition, of course. The month supply of inventory is 3.6 for single family and 4.6 for attached homes. I think that's it. If I could be of further assistance, please don't hesitate to contact me. All of my contact information is on the following slide. As always, it's my goal to bring you accurate information from trusted sources so that you can make the best decision for yourself and your family. Please do me a huge favor. If you found value in anything that I've shared with you, please like this video, of course subscribe, and most of all, share it with someone else that you feel may find value in it as well. I appreciate you. I'll see you on the next video.